Now that our cabinet is done for under the sink side has the bucket for the water and some storage. This side here is actually going to be for the battery banks, the inverter, solar charger, and more than likely two bus bars for all the wiring. So I brought up two more batteries today. I'm going to hook all those four up into parallel, start getting the wiring taken care of today. I'm going to put up top here USB charging, and I may actually do it over there on the other side of the sink. I'm sorry, the window. This way I'll have that corner. I'll have the USB outlets. I will have the switch. I'm going to have one switch that has two switches in it, and one will run this interior light up top, and the other one's going to run an outside LED light as well, and that will be what they're going to have for lighting. I will hook a power strip up here somewhere for the, I may even put it up top here on this side of the window. It'll give them power, although they'll have to understand it's limited power because it's only for 18 amp hour batteries, and they're lead acid, and it's a small inverter. It's just an old small inverter I'm not using anymore. So hopefully I'm going to have to remind people that this is not unlimited power sources. But that's what I'm going to start working on now, and that'll be the next video, setting up the whole solar setup. I will have 100 watt solar panel out on the outside of the cabin in order to charge things, charge the battery bank. So they're also limited as to how much power they have coming in to the power bank. So they're going to have to, I guess, think about what's going to be important and how much sun they're going to get when they're using the place. In the other cabin videos, I didn't really talk too much. Basically just played some relaxing music and just kind of kept it with the build. But with this one, or this part of the cabin series here, I'm going to do a little bit of talking because some people may want to see how others are doing little solar setups and battery banks for just little tiny cabins like this. And it's not very difficult. There are 1,000 videos out there on it. I just have a particular way I kind of gotten used to doing these things. So you can see I'm putting just two bus bars back there, right? And that's going to have the positive and negative side of all of the stuff we use in here. This shutoff right here is going to go down to the positive bus bar from one side and down to the positive terminals on the batteries here on the other side. It's a combination breaker slash shutoff. So if anything does happen and it does cause a problem with the battery bank and it say shorts out, it'll at least trip that breaker. Now I put it in here and I will label it later on as battery bank shut off. If there's ever an issue, you can just push that button and it pops that breaker. I will put another one over there along right above the USB outlets on the wall. That same exact setup, but that is the solar panel shut off. So when the solar panel is hooked up, and if you ever need to do anything, work on anything, you just trip that little breaker. It shuts the solar panel, juice coming out into the system off, going to the solar controller, and it makes it easier and safer to work with. Same thing with having the bus bars. I find it a little bit safer to have bus bars rather than trying to run a whole bunch of wires hooked up to all the terminals. And then you can easily add stuff later on. So all I'm doing right now, as you can see, added those in, put the bus bars in. Now I'm going to connect all of these batteries in parallel, slide them in. But first I'm going to hook up the wiring to them that actually goes up to one bus bar for the negative on the negative terminal. I'm also going to hook up the positive terminal over here on this side for the other bus bar. And I'm also going to hook up the positive and negative to the batteries for the solar charge controller and get those hooked up. Now when you hook up your solar charge controllers, you always want to hook up your battery bank first before you connect any of your solar panels to that solar charger. This happens to be a really old charger I had, and it came from a cheap kit. I may change this out for, I've got an extra Renogy Wanderer down, 10 amp one down in the shed that I'm pulling out and putting a 30 amp in. And I may swap that out down the road, but for now, this is what I'm going to put in. You'll have to excuse the rain. I've got the metal roof on the screen room just outside, so it's banging off that a little bit. All right, so this is all hooked up right now. All these batteries are put in parallel. I have just the solar controller hooked up now, so you can see it's showing 12.6 volts. The bus bar is actually still turned off, so there's no juice going to that bus bar yet. I'll tidy all this up later on a little bit better. What I'm going to do right now, though, is I'm going to put the shelf in, and I will set the power inverter in there just on top of that, and I'm going to connect. I've got a little small battery meter, and I usually keep those hooked up to these to the battery banks. This way you can kind of push a little button real quick, just kind of give you an idea of what you're at on percentage. And you're going to just want to check your documentation on your solar charge controllers for you to set whether or not it's lead acid or lithium batteries or whatnot. Because I'll never be pulling these out in the winter, they're definitely staying lead acid. These are sealed lead acid batteries instead of using lithium. If the place was heated all winter, that'd be different. But yeah, so that's it. I'm just going to kind of keep plugging along, and I may hook up a couple of the USB connectors in a little bit as well, and run the wiring for that. So I've got this hooked up to the bus bar. I don't know how well you can see that. I have it set to shut off after a certain amount of time, just so it doesn't waste a lot of energy. But that's showing 80%, 12.6 volts. Same thing that the solar charge controller is showing 12.6 volts. So the battery bank is at 80%. Now, I don't want this thing to be drawing any juice off of the batteries when not in use. So it's a simple little button to turn it on and off. What I don't like about these power outlets, and almost all of them I've come across, this is the case. I've come across a couple before that don't do this, and I should have tried to buy those again. It's got a light I hate that because it's going to draw no matter what. That light would always be on. So any of the outlets that I've used that have this, I put a little on-off switch. And what I'll do is I'll do the same thing to this one. You flick the on switch when you want to use the power outlet, and then when you're done with it, you just turn it off so it's not constantly drawing. But here's our cabin light above, and we can now run the main light off of the battery bank instead of using the little Ryobi or any of these. These don't last all that long. This lasts much longer, but much better to have it running off the full power battery bank. So the inverter's all hooked up. I'm definitely going to be changing this out though. The fan on this is quite loud. You can probably hear it right now. So I'm more than likely just going to give her a better one. I think I've got a couple extra of the smaller ones. I think it's a 500 watt, 1000 peak. And I'll swap that out when I swap out that solar charge controller for the Renogy Wanderer 10 amp one. But right now it's in place and power is available. So that's a good thing. I'm looking to find the best place for a solar panel up here, and sun does come up through and throughout there most of the day. Ultimately, I think on the screen room roof right up there is going to be the best place to put that. But for now, I think temporarily I'm going to put that panel right there. I'm just going to strap it to that tree, leave it there at that angle, and then in the spring when I get back up to doing a bunch more projects up here, I will swap that over to up on the roof. Right now I've got a bunch of other stuff to do as far as I need to make a screen door. I need to finish off that front facade up there on the screen room with the log ends. I got a lot of little things I want to try to get done, and that solar panel placement is kind of low on that list of priorities, and that can always be done next year. Got the main shutoff wired up. I ran 12 gauge wire out to the solar panel and over to here, and then to this. It's going to go down to the solar controller, and I will label this after as main panel shut off. The the wire, I gave myself enough that I can go back on top of the roof later, and if not, I'll just extend it out. All I need to do now is, here's the extra. I gotta run it up underneath there, back inside, hook it to the solar controller, and that'll start feeding us a little bit of power. It's a cloudy day right now. I figured it's a good time to do this, and then I have a bunch of more wiring to tidy up. You know, little cable straps here and there will kind of tidy up the wiring, make it look a little better. Here's the shut off for the solar panel, and I'm going to kick this on. It's all wired in now, and as you can see, I got the Wanderer right there, the Renogy, but right now I still have this current one hooked up, and as you can see, the solar panel is now charging the battery bank. So that's all set, all wired up, hooked up, and what I'm working on next is right here is the switch. Here's that 2-gang switch, and these boards are going to go See how I have these kind of all horizontal, but going up that opening. I'm gonna have the same thing coming up right here, and then on one of these I'm just gonna cut out spot for this, and I've got it all wired up and ready. I already tested both of those for the interior light over here and the exterior light. So once that's in place, that will basically allow those lights to work off the switch. Then I'm waiting on still just a little on-off switch over here for this USB port that has that light on it. And then they're pretty close to being in good shape.